Not because of who she was, but because I believed someone had played the cruelest joke of my life. I stood frozen outside the little cafe, staring through the glass window at the woman waiting patiently beside it in a wheelchair. My best friend had insisted she was perfect for me. He had laughed over the phone, promised I'd thank him later, and refused to show me a single photo. The moment I realized she couldn't stand, I felt embarrassed, confused, and strangely angry, not at her, but at everyone who had decided my life should become some kind of social experiment. What happened after I sat down across from her shattered every belief I had about love, strength, and happiness, and by the end of that year, the people who thought they knew everything about us were left speechless. Before we continue, if you believe kindness deserves another chance in this world, please take a second to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps more inspiring stories reach people who need them most. At 29, I believed life rewarded hard work. I had spent years building my career, chasing promotions, and convincing myself that success could replace everything else. Friends got married. My younger sister had children. Family gatherings slowly became uncomfortable because everyone asked the same question. When would I finally settle down? I laughed every time, pretending I wasn't lonely. The truth was that I had become so focused on finding the perfect partner that I never gave anyone enough time to become real. If someone didn't match the impossible picture inside my head, I quietly moved on. That was probably why my closest friend finally decided to interfere. He told me he knew someone intelligent, funny, and kind. He refused to tell me anything more because he claimed first impressions based on appearance had ruined every relationship opportunity one had ever received. I argued with him for days before reluctantly agreeing to meet her. Even while driving to the cafe, I complained that blind dates never worked. Then I saw her. She was sitting beside the window with a book resting on her lap. Her wheelchair was impossible to miss, yet her smile somehow made the entire room feel warmer. She looked peaceful while reading, completely unaware that I had already begun judging the situation before saying a single word. For several minutes, I almost turned around. Then something inside me whispered that leaving would say more about my character than hers. I walked inside. She looked up, smiled naturally, and welcomed me as though we had already known each other for years. There was no awkwardness in her expression. No embarrassment. She simply introduced herself with confidence that quietly erased the tension I had carried into the room. Within 20 minutes, I forgot about the wheelchair. We spoke about books, old movies, childhood memories, embarrassing mistakes, travel dreams, and our favorite foods. She laughed with her whole heart. She listened carefully before answering every question. She never interrupted anyone. There was a calmness about her that made the noisy cafe disappear. Hours passed unnoticed. When we finally left, I realized something strange. I hadn't felt that relaxed with another person in years. As I pushed her wheelchair toward her accessible taxi after she allowed me to help, she thanked me with genuine appreciation instead of forced politeness. That simple moment stayed with me during the entire drive home. Still, fear remained. Dating someone with a physical disability wasn't something I had imagined. I worried about challenges I didn't understand. I worried about what people would say. Most of all, I worried whether I was capable of giving someone the support they deserved. The easiest decision would have been never calling again. Instead, I sent a message the next morning asking if she'd like dinner sometime. She replied only a few seconds later. From that point, our lives slowly became intertwined. She had been injured 6 years earlier in a highway accident caused by a drunk driver. The crash took away the use of her legs, but it never stole her curiosity about life. During months of painful rehabilitation, she completed an online university degree, started writing children's books, and volunteered to mentor newly injured patients struggling with depression. Listening to her story made my own complaints sound painfully small. I had spent years believing strength meant lifting heavier weights, earning more money, or refusing to cry. She showed me that real strength sometimes meant waking up every morning and choosing hope despite unbearable pain. The more time we spent together, the more people revealed themselves. Some encouraged us. Others didn't. A coworker quietly asked whether I felt trapped. Another joked that I deserved someone normal. Even distant relatives questioned whether I truly understood what I was getting into. Those words filled me with shame, not because I believed them, but because I realized how easily society reduced people to a single characteristic. Nobody asked about her intelligence. Nobody cared about her kindness. Nobody mentioned her generosity. They only saw the wheelchair. She noticed my frustration before I ever admitted it. Instead of becoming angry, she gently reminded me that bitterness only gives prejudice more power. She had already spent years proving people wrong. She wasn't interested in spending the rest of her life arguing with strangers. She simply wanted to live. That quiet confidence changed me more than any speech ever could. One rainy afternoon, we visited the rehabilitation center where she volunteered every weekend. I expected sadness. Instead, I found laughter. Children raced through hallways using colorful wheelchairs decorated with stickers. Teenagers celebrated tiny improvements like winning Olympic medals. Parents cried tears of joy after watching their children complete exercises many doctors once considered impossible. She moved from room to room encouraging everyone with endless patience. For the first time, I understood why every nurse smiled when they saw her arrive. She wasn't surviving. She was helping others survive too. Driving home that evening, I cried without warning. Not because life seemed unfair. Because I realized how unfairly I had judged someone whose courage exceeded anything I had ever accomplished. Months passed. Our relationship deepened naturally. We celebrated birthdays, cooked disastrous meals together, argued over board games, watched sunsets beside the lake, and discovered happiness hiding inside ordinary days. Then life tested us again. She developed a serious infection that required emergency hospitalization. Doctors warned recovery could take months. Watching machines monitor someone you love changes every definition of fear. Night after night, I sat beside her hospital bed reading novels aloud because she said stories made the pain feel smaller. Some evenings she slept through entire chapters. Other nights she smiled weakly and corrected my terrible character voices. Those small moments became priceless. During one particularly difficult night, she squeezed my hand with surprising strength. No dramatic speeches were necessary. Everything I needed to know existed inside that single gesture. Eventually, she recovered. Slowly. Painfully. But she recovered. When she returned home, neighbors who barely knew her organized meals. Friends built a beautiful wheelchair-friendly garden behind her house. Children from the rehabilitation center covered the fence with handmade drawings thanking her for giving them hope. Standing there, surrounded by flowers and colorful pictures, I finally understood why everyone who truly knew her loved her so deeply. Months later, I proposed. Not because I felt responsible. Not because I wanted praise. Not because I believed loving her made me extraordinary. I proposed because she had become my safest place. She accepted while laughing and crying at exactly the same time. Our wedding wasn't extravagant. The ceremony took place in a peaceful garden beneath strings of warm lights. Guests cried throughout the vows. Children scattered flower petals everywhere except where they were supposed to. My friend, the same one who had arranged the blind date, couldn't stop smiling because his ridiculous plan had somehow created the happiest chapter of both our lives. Many people who once questioned our relationship attended that wedding. Several quietly admitted they had been wrong. Others simply watched us dance together in our own unique way and realized love had never depended on perfect circumstances. Years later, life surprised everyone once again. Her children's books became nationally recognized after teachers praised their messages about resilience and inclusion. Schools invited her to speak. Families traveled across cities just to thank her for helping children understand that disability never defines human worth. People who had once looked at her with pity now stood in long lines hoping for her autograph. Meanwhile, I often remembered the frightened man standing outside the cafe years earlier. If he had listened to his fear, he would have walked away from the greatest blessing of his life. He would have missed thousands of ordinary mornings drinking coffee together. He would have missed hospital victories, holiday traditions, road trips carefully planned for accessibility, quiet evenings reading side by side, and countless moments of laughter that no amount of money could ever buy. He would have mistaken a wheelchair for a limitation instead of seeing the remarkable woman sitting in it. If this story has touched your heart so far, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in compassion, subscribe to the channel, and let us know your thoughts below. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. Before this story ends, please leave a comment with one simple sentence: kindness sees the heart. Your words may encourage someone who needs hope today. Love rarely arrives wearing the face we imagine. Sometimes it appears after disappointment. Sometimes it arrives carrying scars, heartbreak, or challenges we never expected. But the strongest relationships are built not on perfection, appearance, or easy circumstances. They are built on respect, patience, compassion, and the willingness to truly see another human being. Looking back now, people sometimes tell me how lucky she was to find someone willing to love her. They still don't understand. I was the lucky one. She didn't just change my future. She changed the person I became. And that is why the greatest surprise was never meeting a woman in a wheelchair. The greatest surprise was discovering that the strongest person I had ever known was the one the world had underestimated all along.